The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality Silver Bullet from InfoWarsLife.com and to help others during Christmas by teaching them about the powerful benefits of silver. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with Super Male or Super Female Vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put two and two together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
The experts are clear. Sunlight, purified water, healthy non-GMO food, and having a good attitude is essential to a healthy immune system. But I go further with Super Nascent Iodine X2 from InfoWarsLife.com. 50% stronger than our original and revolutionary Nascent Iodine formula, coming from a deep earth crystal source that no other supplier has. Most other forms of iodine come from seaweed in areas plagued by Fukushima and other contaminants. Not our iodine. It comes from over 200 million-year-old crystal salt deposits and is tested and proven to be completely pure. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today. See the informational videos. Read the information they're compiled. And for a limited time, when you use promo code NOW at checkout, you get an additional 5% off the entire family of InfoWarsLife.com products. Secure your Survival Shield X2 today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. It's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight in Austin, your host today, along with Paul Joseph Watson in the UK. And we were just talking to Anthony Gucciardi in the studio. His story: doctors say potential Ebola cases are still being covered up by the CDC, and it's some new information. He talked to some doctor sources in Dallas and elsewhere who are very concerned that they're going to be the ones who are the fall guys. They're going to be the ones who are going to be blamed as Obama is bringing in Ebola. Essentially a story that Paul Joseph Watson just read to us from, I think it was it Reuters, Paul, that you had there? Like you said, it sounded like something out of The Onion, but it's just another onion layer of tyranny in the sense that Obama is now going to open the border specifically to people coming in from Ebola-affected countries. It's just absolutely amazing, isn't it, Paul?
Well, David, I actually underplayed it. They're not going to just give people residency for 18 months and then a potential further period of time. They're going to give them work permits. So these people could be working in transportation. They could be working in hospitals. They could be giving you your flu shot. This is people who are returning from the West African countries hit by Ebola, who are already in the United States, granting them amnesty for at least a year and a half and potentially more, giving them work permits. So it's even worse than I originally said.
Wow. Wow. Well, we've got a guest I want to get on who is another story that you covered back at the beginning of this month. But before we move on, I want to tell everybody that we now have Silver Bullet back in. It's in limited supply. It takes 6 weeks to get it in because it's such a difficult process to make it in such high concentrations. Our Silver Bullet is concentrated colloidal silver in 30 parts per million. It's in a pure base of deionized water. It's a very difficult manufacturing process because we use ultra-high voltage electrical process that generates very small size particles and ensures the stability of these particles. It's in a toxic-free solution here with the deionized water. It's something that will take us a long time to replenish. Like I said, it's a very good time right now, this time of year with flu and cold and a lot of viruses, as well as any kind of infection that you get exposed to. It's something that historically has been widely used, and that is silver, a very natural ingredient to protect yourself against what's in the environment. You can get that at InfoWarsLife.com, or you can call 888-253-3139. That's 888-253-3139. That's Silver Bullet. Now, Paul, you had this story back as on November the 3rd. In Florida, we had a 90-year-old man who has been feeding the homeless for quite some time, and they passed a new ordinance, and they arrested him. It got quite nasty, but this is something that's been going on and on for quite some time. I want to get Mr. Abbott on the line now. Do we have him on the line, guys? Okay, good. Mr. Abbott, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
I wanted to talk to you directly because I wanted people to hear your story. I think it's always important for us to understand when we engage in civil disobedience, to understand that there are moral issues that transcend arbitrary regulations with local governments or even national governments. I wanted you to kind of give us a background. Tell us a little bit about your operation, what you do there.
Okay. Well, for the last 23 years, we've been feeding the homeless in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We feed on the beach every Wednesday evening, which was last night. And we feed every Sunday at a different location, inland from the ocean. And we've been doing that without pause for the first 8 years. And then the city decided that they want us to stop feeding on the beach because they objected to the homeless being where the tourists might come in and it might spoil the looks of their beautiful beach. So we took them to court 15 years ago, and we had 3 trials in the circuit court, which we beat the city 3 times. They then took us to the Court of Appeals in Palm Beach. We beat them twice there. And the matter was over for some years, and then October 22nd of this year, they scrapped all of their old laws and came out with brand new ones, which were impossible for most of the people feeding the homeless to in any way comply with, because it required every feeding group to bring a porta potty with them. If you can imagine that being a possibility.
Wow. Wherever
they fed, they had to have portable toilets with them. And, of course, at the beach, we happen to be feed adjacent to the only restrooms in the whole city. So that's not a portion of it. That's the part we cover, actually, of the new law. And all of the other fundamental items that have to do with sanitation we comply with because we teach culinary arts, which the sanitation is a very big part of.
Now, you've had regulations in the past. You said you took them to court, but this time it was a little bit different, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, because it referred to all the sanitation laws that most people, most of the feeders, could absolutely not comply with. We could, because we teach sanitation, one of our courses, to the homeless students we have. So we had no problem, but then they decided that after we won the case for the beach, to feed on the beach, that they'd make that a no feeding zone for social services, and we're social services. So again, we took them to court and we beat them, and now they've revised everything, and they've again revised the part that said no social services on the beach, and you can't feed without a permit, and they will not issue permits. So that's where we stand right now. We are suing the city of Fort Lauderdale again. This time we have a contempt charge because they're actually in contempt of a court order that was issued 15 years ago. So that's where we stand. And last evening was the first time we had not had the police presence at our feeding. Usually there are 10 to 20 police officers. And this morning I had a telephone debate with the mayor at 8 o'clock this morning, in which I inquired why there were no police officers there last night. And he very happily replied, yes, they were. They were in plain clothes, and we followed every move you made. And you can expect your fourth citation in the mail.
Well, let me ask you, Mr. Arnold, Mr. Abbott, you've been a World War II veteran. You're 90 years old. You've lived in this country for a very long time. Did you ever think that you would see the day where this kind of thing would happen in the United States, where they would be so callous to people who are at the bottom of society that they would threaten to arrest you and kind of get in your face about it? It was originally reported that they grabbed you by the hand and said, drop that plate right now. Did you ever think that you would see that kind of day in America?
Well, unfortunately, I've had to fight civil rights for the last 50 years of my life. So I've encountered the KKK and all other organizations who fight giving equal rights to anybody. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to it. But I know you're right. I never expected to see it in South Florida. And I'll tell you one thing that really embarrasses me for my country. I've received 2 requests from the communist countries, 2 from China and 1 from Moscow. Can you believe? Questioning why in the United States of America, where democracy is supposed to be the type of government, they're doing this. And that's pretty embarrassing for any American to have to answer.
Well, I guess my concern about it is, too, we look at homeless people, and we see the shooting not too long ago in New Mexico that was captured on the police video cam, where they had a homeless man. They talked to him for quite some time, but he was absolutely no threat to him. They shot and killed him from a distance. And then just at the end of October, we had a homeless man shot 49 times by, I believe, 8 different officers, and he was standing maybe about 30 feet away from him, absolutely no danger to them whatsoever. We see this happening, and the escalation of the violence that's happening, I guess that's the thing that really concerns me. We've seen homeless people rounded up and shipped out as they have their political conventions in certain towns because they don't want them to be seen, or they have a big G20 meeting or something like that, so they ship all the homeless people out to another area because they don't want to be embarrassed by that. But they're getting really brutal and heartless towards not only the homeless people, but of course to all citizens. We see this happening now. That's essentially what I think people need to be focusing on in Ferguson, but that's turned into a black-white thing rather than why are we allowing the authorities to do this to the people of America?
I think it's more than black-white. I think it's poor against the rich.
Yes.
That's the way it is in Fort Lauderdale. I have called the city commission, the mayor, and the 4 other commissioners puppets of the mega-rich and the powerful people who live here. Their orders are to get rid of the homeless, get rid of them. Yeah. And they've done such heartless things that you couldn't believe. If they have no sleeping zone, so a homeless person can't even lay down on the ground to sleep in Fort Lauderdale. They'll be arrested. They have vigilante groups, very much like the Ku Klux Klan. People go around masked at night, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the morning, take pictures of where the homeless are sleeping, and turn it over to the police so they can be harassed and arrested. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on down here. It's horrible. And
it really is.
I intend to fight this as long as there's breath in my body. And,
well, I thank you for doing that. I guess, it's not just the brutal incidents that we see of the man in New Mexico, the one in Michigan, then, of course, Kelly Thomas, who was brutally beaten for an extended period of time, a homeless man who was just beaten to death. I mean, we see that, and that's so egregious. And I guess people say, well, it's the homeless and they're crazy, so, the police need to do whatever the police need to do to that. But if we allow them to do that to the homeless people, we should understand that that creates a callousness towards all humanity that is going to eventually find its way back to us. And even before they get to the point of shooting them or beating them to death, there's the issue of just not having enough compassion to even allow somebody to give them some food. That's the amazing thing to me.
It is amazing. I was a police commissioner back in the 50s in suburban Philadelphia, so I'm well aware of what police departments are all about. There are good cops, and there's always some bad apples. And don't ever forget we had George Zimmerman up here.